He knew as much about the crimes as I did because he was there.
We had no idea there was any additional victims out there. We had no idea who they were.
And there was a good chance that this could be a bloody takedown.
That's the guy. Now they know they have this serial murderer.
The car is one that police have been searching for, and that Long's family knows well.
The red Dodge Magnum was the car he was always in when he would come pick the kids up.
The few times that I went to Tampa area to visit him, he had that car. That's the car we went to the movies in.
3 days after Kim Swan's body is found, investigators track down the Magnum.
So they stop Dodge Magnum, but there's nothing they can hold him on. He is not doing anything illegal. He admits he's Bobby Joe Long. They take a picture of him. They go back to Lisa McVeigh, who was one of his victims. She goes, that's the guy. Now they know they have this serial murderer.
He admitted kidnapping Lisa. Then they began to talk to him about the homicides. He initially said, oh, I didn't do any homicides. And they explained tire evidence, fiber evidence.
And he finally said, yeah, I killed 8 women.
But even behind bars, Long's wave of terror hasn't yet ended.
The initial thought is, okay, you've arrested this serial murderer. We've got everything solved. We don't have to worry anymore. And then all of a sudden, they find another body. And then they find another body.
The body had been there for almost 8 months. It wasn't until you start looking at the missing date you realize that our 10th victim discovered was our first victim taken, and her name was Artist Ann Wick.
Bobby Joe Long is tried on multiple counts of first-degree murder, found guilty, and sentenced to death. In the 2 years since he moved his family to Spokane, Washington, Robert Yates secretly kills at least 13 women. By late 1999, a trail of clues identifies Yates as a possible suspect by the Spokane Serial Killer Task Force.
Robert Yates used to own a white Corvette, and he patronized prostitutes.
Yates is called in to meet with detectives. At the meeting, he is visibly nervous and sweating profusely.
Mr. Yates is kind of evasive. He refused to be cleared with DNA, so others in the task force thought, we really got to focus on him.
Detectives tracked down the new owner Yates had sold the Corvette to and thoroughly searched the car.
There was fibers from the carpet in that white Corvette that matched the fibers on the bottom of Jennifer Joseph's shoes. Under the passenger seat was a mother-of-pearl button that exactly matched all the other buttons that were on Jennifer Joseph's shirt. There was dried blood on the passenger seat belt. That blood had the DNA of Jennifer Joseph.
Detectives prepared to take down Robert Yates.
We want the ability to arrest him in a situation that is safe for officers, because we know this person obviously has a weapon on him. He's used it many times.
On April 18, 2000, Robert Yates leaves his home for work. The police secretly follow his car, then pull him over. Linda Yates, Robert's wife, is at a restaurant when detectives break the news that he's been arrested for murder.
The first thing somebody thinks is, well, surely the wife knew. Surely somebody in that family knew.
It took just a few minutes, though, to realize that Linda had no idea.
He dropped a catalog, and that had a fingerprint. That fingerprint was run by the federal agencies involved in the investigation and found a hit to an INS database to Malvo being fingerprinted earlier that year. Just to have a name associated with a suspect was a huge break.
The same day DC investigators learn Malvo's name, one of John Muhammad's old Army buddies contacts the FBI.
Robert Holmes called into the FBI in Tacoma, Washington, and said, I'm afraid that the ones doing the killings in the DC area could be a friend of mine from the Army, and provided the name John Allen Muhammad.
Holmes reports Muhammad introduced him to a young man that he nicknamed Sniper.
We sent a photograph of Malvo to Mr. Holmes and said, is this the person that you're describing as you nicknamed Sniper? And he said yes. And so that was the first time we'd put the two of them together.
Once investigators have Muhammad's name, it doesn't take long to discover he's recently registered a car a dark blue 1990 Chevy Caprice. News of the make and model of the car soon hits the street.
We got extremely lucky that night when a truck driver saw their car in a rest stop.
Obviously, these are people who had killed at least 10 people at this point and shot others. And there was a good chance that this could be a bloody takedown. I remember it being very quiet. It was a bright, late fall night. It's one of those nights you could hear everything. I heard them actually break the window out. Within a couple minutes, we heard, we've got the suspects. They're handcuffed. They're under control.
Shortly after 3:30 this morning, the tactical response team arrested 2 individuals from that vehicle who were sleeping in the vehicle. They were taken into custody without incident.
The Bushmaster was found secreted behind the back of the back seat in the fire position with the safety off, locked and loaded and ready to go. And it just, Melvo said, was the fact that he fell asleep on his watch, or they wouldn't have been caught alive.
When we searched their vehicle, we found the rifle, computer, bullets, ammunition, a number of other things that linked them to each of the scenes and each of the shooting victims.
On August 4, 2006, the city of Phoenix is rocked by the arrest of Dale Hausner as a serial shooter stalking the city.
Why would you do something like this, Mr. Hausner?
As far as you know,
Dale denies involvement to everyone.
you guys have never been together doing anything violently together.
Oh, no, hell no, no way. No.
He was absolutely cocky, and it was very obvious to me during our interview that he knew as much about the crimes as I did because he was there and he remembered them.
Hausner takes his plea to the court of public opinion and holds a press conference in jail.
How is it that you're here then, sir?
Why I'm here is because I have Sam Dietman staying with me for about 5 weeks. And apparently at night, Sam had been taking my car out and using various weapons that I have in my house to commit crimes.
Dale's press conference really confirmed with me the psychopathic nature of his personality. He was a master manipulator and a masterful liar.
Are you a serial shooter? Absolutely not.
Sam Dietman, within 5 minutes of my interviewing him, gave up Dale Hausner as one of the serial shooters.
Brought this little shotgun, fired at some fat guy who was walking down the road.
What does Dale do after he fires?
He kind of chuckles a little bit and puts the gun down beside his leg.
Dietman agrees to testify for the prosecution. A number of surviving victims also testify, including Clarissa Rowley.
It was very emotional. You know, I'm gonna have to get in front of this guy. You know, I don't know him. The last time I saw him, he was looking down the barrel of his gun.
Randy Hausner is in court with his parents when the verdict comes in. Dale Hausner receives the death penalty 6 times. When my father is linked to Julie Winningham's murder, authorities finally have him in their sights.
He knew that we were going to be watching him and that it's only a matter of time before we'd come out and arrest him. He knew that. Every place he went, he thought he saw a police car watching him or following him.
Believing police are closing in, on March 25th, 1995, my father calls the police and confesses to Julie Winningham's murder.
We were able to fly down and take him into custody and charge him with first-degree murder of Julie Winningham.
All I could do was just sob in my pillow, and then finally I fell asleep crying.
My father begins telling the police about his 5-year-long killing spree as the happy-face killer. And my father is sentenced to life in prison.
We had no idea there was any additional victims out there. We had no idea who they were.
Keith told me about a body that he dumped in Nebraska along the freeway. This was an unidentified female that had never been found.
That turned out to be Angela Sabriz from Seattle. He never showed any emotion at all.
No remorse. I stood toe-to-toe to him in court. She was my mom. Someone needed to be there
He deserves to fry because not only has he killed 6 others or 7 or 8, how many it's been, who knows? This thing just gets worse and worse as it goes on. I think it needs to be put a stop to. Fry him and get it all over with.
I wanted him to die, but now that I'm older, he'll go through more misery in the next 50 years that he's in prison. I don't believe he was wired wrong, born with a birth defect, none of that. He made a choice. He just liked the rush like somebody likes heroin. And unfortunately, my mom happened to be one of the rushes.